I'd like to preface this with just a little bit of background about why I'm speaking. I know Pastor Ruth said that I'm graduating today, and I really appreciate the opportunity to share my message with all of you. And I would be lying to say I'm not nervous. But with that, I would like to start my message, how a mission trip to Guatemala changed my life. So there's this concept called the rules of expectation, which I've come strongly to believe in through my time at Kennebunk High School. And the concept is best summed up by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, a German writer and statesman from the early 1800s. And it goes like this: if I accept you as you are, I'll make you worse. However, if I treat you as though you are what you are capable of becoming, I help you become that. To put it in context, my whole life I've had parents, teachers, and other role models that have set expectations for me, who have made me feel like I mattered and who have believed in me, which has made the biggest difference in my development as a person. Somewhere I found this belief in me growing up was here at the church on the Cape. Really the only church I've ever been a part of. The church on the Cape has acted as a supportive community to me and my family since we officially joined when I was just starting elementary school. I can credit the Sundays I've spent here with teaching me important lessons on what's right and what's wrong, how to interact with people not exactly the same age as me, specifically adults, how I should treat others, and most importantly, the word of the Lord. However, as much as that was very impactful for me, it's not the most impactful thing that happened to me in association with this church. The most important experience I ever had with this church didn't actually happen here. It took place 2,308 miles away in a village of Concepcion, Guatemala. And yes, I actually calculated it. So if you're still wondering who I am, please don't feel bad. Over the 4 years of high school, I've overcommitted myself to many extracurricular activities and rigorous classes, and I'll admit I have missed my fair share of Sundays here, which I do feel really badly about. So, just to clarify, my name is Patrick Grady. My mother in the back is Julie Grady, and just to say some words about her, she's the kindest and most caring person I know. My father is Russ Grady. He's respectful and thoughtful, and the true model of what a father should be. I have a little brother who's actually bigger than me, Chris, who's always been a friend to me, even when he gets on my nerves a little bit. And lastly, all four of my grandparents are here today, each one unique and loving in their own right. I couldn't ask for a better and more supportive, loving family, especially given the busy schedule I've kept. And to give you a little information about myself, my passion, which is what I'm going to get into in a little bit, is serving others. I plan to turn this passion into a career in the government after studying political science at the Honors College at George Mason University for the next 4 years. So here's the story about how I found this passion and why I'm here today. And it was all because of the help of the church on the Cape. So February 17th through 24th, 2014.
My birthday.
I think I might have remembered that. So 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, I went to the village of Concepcion, Guatemala, on a mission trip with the church on the Cape. And actually, a funny story is I was supposed to go the year before when I was in 8th grade, but I got the flu the night before we were about to leave. So I was very upset I couldn't go because it would be a new experience for me and going out of the country and being able to give back. So I jumped at the opportunity to potentially go again the next year. And just like the year before, the trip was done through the Massachusetts-based nonprofit Partners in Development. And so plans were set in motion, money was paid by my parents, thank you, and I was going to Guatemala over my February vacation. And I was a sophomore at the time. I had only been to Canada before that, outside this country. So this was going to be a really big change for me, a big culture shock. And after a full day of travel involving 2 planes, a 2-hour bus ride on a road that was pretty suspect in quality, we arrived at our hotel. And culture shock doesn't begin to describe what I was experiencing. Sure, the hotel was nice, relatively speaking. The rooms were actually better than I expected them to be. But on a basic level, everything was different in Guatemala. You can't drink the water there because the quality of the water is quite different than what we have here. And you cannot flush the toilet paper down the toilet because they don't have North American plumbing. So those are some of the more minor inconveniences I faced. But really, those kind of went to the back of my mind once I started working in the community there. And when I went to the clinic the next day for our first full day, and it was clear I'd left the trappings of my first world lifestyle behind. And I saw children with 1 pair of shoddy flip-flops and dirty clothes who were going to the clinic with their mothers to get medical attention. And the group that came along with us was a group of dental students from Nova Scotia. So they were going to get their teeth checked that week. And that was who was here to serve them that week. And I was just juxtaposed next to these dental students who had so much to give. They had so many skills that they could practically apply in that situation. I didn't feel like I had anything. And I felt really useless for that first day until we got the chance to go out and help build a house in a village just down the road, actually. And I saw that despite myself not having a lot of skills to give, I had my time and my energy to give. And that's exactly what I did for a week. I helped build a house for a family of 10 living in currently at the time living in a place no bigger than my own room, really. And it was covered, the roof was tin and it didn't really have many walls. And I just couldn't fathom how they lived there, a family that size. I think I know of one family of 10 in the Kennebunks, and they have a nice big house, but but not this family, and just because of their geography and their situation. So my realization in working on this house the entire week was that I could help them with the energy I had, with the time I had, even if it was only for a week. And a sense of purpose had come over me, unlike any other before. I was not just Patrick Grady, just a citizen. I was someone in a group serving a cause greater than myself. And there, in the middle of a village of Concepcion, Guatemala, thousands of miles away from my home, I began to understand how service transcends a person and is a greater idea which many carry out together. And this is something I really come to believe in, and it really guides me to this day. And it is all because of this experience. And another aspect of this trip that changed me was the people I became close with, both in Guatemala and from the church. So the church contingency was made up of Pastor Ruth, Adam Baracco, Carly Baracco, Bree Clark, Danielle Clark, Trish Dolan, Kendall Dolan, Isabel Dumas, Leah Dumas, Sue Stedman, and Amy Stedman. And I can easily say I got to know each and every one of them in a way I just wouldn't have here at the church. And that's not to say you can't meet people here at the church, but you get to know someone in a really unique way when they're throwing up next to you in a bed. or working hard in the sun all day and they're a little dehydrated. Or running to an airport gate so we can make the flight home. And those were the experiences that really bonded us, and I got to connect with each and every one of them on some sort of level during the whole week. So that was something that was pretty foreign to me, as usually I just came to church and left church and did some activities around church, but we were in it together for a full week. And on another front, I became really close with a young kid named Mario. He lived in Concepcion, and he must have been around 7 or 8 years old. And Mario always wanted to play a game with a ball with me, and anyone would do. We usually played wiffle ball or something like that. And his boundless energy really reminded me a lot of my younger brother, and which I think is the reason I took a liking to him. But my experience with Mario changed my worldview because I became aware of how we are on unequal footing. And so Mario didn't have a lot, but here I am blessed just like my brother. And to make that comparison and really see the struggle of poverty through such a personal lens really changed me. And in the matter of 1 week, I had gone from a bit nervous to go to a foreign country without my family to finding a sense of purpose and understanding about the world that we live in to some degree. And I made new friends. And I can't ask for a better experience than coming into it because I really didn't know what I was going to see going to Guatemala. I was only a sophomore. I hadn't experienced a lot, and this was a really eye-opening experience. In that week, I had to grapple with the poverty of Guatemala. But at the end of the week, I also felt good about the service I had performed. And I felt especially good when I saw a picture of Mario and a picture of the finished house a few weeks later from another mission trip that I had gone there. Both were in good condition, so I was really happy to see that. And I felt like I had made some sort of a difference. Even if it wasn't that large, it was tangible, which mattered to me. But still, I was not satisfied because I had not solved the entire problem. I mean, who could expect to, though? And this is what prompted me to become more involved in service and really explore how I could give back in a greater way. So, how did this mission trip, in the grand scheme of my life, change me? I've already mentioned how it made me more aware of how blessed I've become, or how blessed I am, and has prompted me to serve more. Specifically, I joined a lot more service clubs at my school. I joined a peer helper club, the National Honor Society, and Model State. And I'd just like to speak a little bit about Model State because that's where I found a practical application to my passion to serve others. And what Model State is a model legislature conducted by high schoolers all across the state of Maine one weekend in November. And that's really where I became truly interested in policy and the government and how the government can serve people. But at the core of that interest, though, was my drive to serve others. And I owe all of that to Guatemala, nothing to something after that. It stemmed from that experience. And I'd like to point out that service sometimes is made out to be something you do for 2 hours on a Sunday or for a week in Guatemala, but it's really all around us. Members of the military, nonprofits, the Rotary Club, the Peace Corps, Susan G. Komen for a Cure, your parents, your kids when they do the dishes, and yes, the stranger who opened the door for you the other day, all performed a service for you. And I think that service is perhaps one of the best ways you can show gratitude and respect for others. And I've come to learn that through the multitude of experiences I've had in Guatemala and after. So I know we can be a little bit cynical about the government sometimes, and in theory it's supposed to serve everyone, and some may scoff at that notion given current political climates. But I've seen government in action, and specifically 2 weeks ago I got to intern at Senator Angus King's office in Scarborough. And day in and day out, I witnessed the constituent service representatives work work tirelessly to help people just like you and me get their Social Security benefits, get their veterans benefits, secure visas, and much, much more. So these are the practical ways that government helps people every day. And maybe I'm just being a little idealistic in thinking that I can change the system, I can shake things up, but I'd be remiss if I didn't try. And in Guatemala, I think I learned that you just have to try your hardest because you don't have that much time. I only had a week in Guatemala, and I only have a lifetime to serve others. And so to close, I'd like to share a quote from Mahatma Gandhi, which I heard exactly a year ago today, believe it or not. And I was sitting in the National Mall looking at the Washington Monument. And in that moment, I wouldn't say it was an epiphany, but I had some sort of a realization about how that quote really applied to my life and was central to who I am. It goes like this. We but mirror the world. All the tendencies present in the outer world are to be found in the world of our body. If we could change ourselves, the tendencies in the world would also change. As man changes his own nature, so does the attitude of the world change towards him. This is the divine mystery supreme. A wonderful thing it is, and is the source of our happiness. We need not wait to see what others do. Thank you for letting me speak to you today, and God bless.